Tomas Mauricio. Come on down. Tyler Kistner. Come on down. David Romero. Come on down. Heath Simpson. Come on down. You're the first 4 contestants on the BS and Beer is Right.
Hey! Gotta love that podcast show. Hey! Yeah, I love that podcast show. Oh, BS and Beer is the place to go to get all the Saints news. Hell yeah! Podcast show. Hey! Gotta love that podcast show. Hey! Yeah, I love your podcast show.
Hey, there it is. He loves us. Welcome in another week, the first week of the NFL season. We previewing it all.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's right. The BS and Beer podcast recording live from the SEC Sports Pub with me to my right. Heath and Tomas to my left. Tomas Mauricio, Tyler Kistner on the board. I'm Dave Romero, and I'm your hosting for the next 2 hours. Woohoo! We're going to be talking more
Plus an
Saints,
extra one.
useless information
It's
than
really
anyone
3.
needs to know about. So from Ruston to Monroe, Farmerville to Jonesboro. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, because we're about to do the SEC Pub and 97.7 Sports Talk Radio, BS and Beer style. Gentlemen, it is time to get it on.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right, man.
Fired up.
I don't even know. I got papers.
I got 7 rants today, so you
I
pick
even
one
got
and I'll
papers.
give one.
I don't think this
That's
is relevant
papers
to
from
the
last
show,
week.
but at least I got
I
papers.
have no papers. I've committed it all to the
memory.
old
Right, yeah, so this won't
noggin.
last long. No, actually, you're still pretty spry. I gotta tell you, you're still pretty
it's all
spry.
right,
I'm not
brother, yeah.
I'm not mad. Look, for a guy like I hope I can remember things like you when I like. Hey, moving on. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
I hope you look as good as me and that your brain is functional.
Look what I got. Speaking of functional,
What you
I
got?
got an official depth chart. Well, it says unofficial depth chart, but we have a depth chart.
Yeah.
So I don't know, some stuff we need to talk about on this. These linebackers, still linebackers.
God.
The linebackers. Okay, we have not 1, not 2, but 4 hotline calls.
Wow.
Oh.
Except
And what's that hotline number, Dave?
701-901-1295. I'm glad you asked me,
Yes,
Tomas.
sir, because we need to get some more phone calls.
That's right. We do need to get. Where are the people from Ruston and Monroe?
I'm telling you, I don't know what's wrong.
we
And
need to-
here I'm a guy who's yanking left and right for who?
Wait, come on.
Boston Scott.
Oh
what?
yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
That went in the wrong direction
Yeah.
really quick. I don't
That's
talk
because
about
your
you.
mind
and
is
you
in the gutter.
What
listen.
happens in Tomas's bedroom should stay in Tomas's bedroom.
That's right, like Vegas. Just
Wait a second.
Matter of
brother.
fact, take
I mean,
it to Vegas.
You're younger than I am. You mean you only do it? Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, listen.
You better go ahead and move
listen.
on. We're gonna get in trouble here.
Wait.
Keep order here. Keep order, I said.
They
All right.
needed that today when they were in Congress. But go ahead.
My bookie picks of the week
Yeah.
at the end of the second hour. You don't want to miss it. But the reason I'm bringing that up is
Yes,
because
sir.
last year we had about 70 something. We need more people. So go to Yahoo. The league number is 37909. I'll repeat that just about every segment because we want to get everybody in there and compete. And the password is BS and beer.
And spelled out. A-N-D.
Yeah, because we mix that up a lot. We
Yeah.
do BS in the letter N, but
Right.
this is BSANDBEER, and that's the password for the league. And we'll keep reminding you. Matter of fact, you can go to my Twitter, and we have all the information
I'll
on there.
post it on mine too.
So
All right.
it's Saints BS at Saints BS. If you're looking for my Twitter handle, go in there, get all the information. Matter of fact, I don't want to get too complicated. We're going to start with this, but I'll ease you into it. We also doing a fantasy league where basically most fantasy leagues you have to have a draft and everybody gets their own particular players. This is kind of a simple fantasy where you just pick the players that you want. Now, that means that if you have 100 people in there, there could very well be people with the exact same team
Right.
that particular week.
Right.
But over the course of the season, you'll spread out. You'll have, somebody's going to pick somebody different and your scores will spread out. But for the most part, we have 2 leagues going on, man. It's all about the competition. Get in there and have fun picking against us. Because, I mean, man, when I get in there picking.
I almost won last year.
Did you?
Don't you remember?
Yeah, I came
I was
pretty
right
close.
up there.
I was only about 50, 60 spots away
Yeah.
from winning. You did for a while hang in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like number 2, number 3.
But you faded at the end.
Man, at the end, I ended up being 3.
Yeah,
Tied for 3.
Tomas was running. It's like the bear was chasing. At the end, everybody's passing him up. He's on his, had his hands on his knees, breathing hard, sweat pouring down his forehead.
Yep.
That's me every morning.
Age caught up with him, huh?
Yeah, boy.
That's what I say at the gym every morning.
Yeah. Okay, so then more stuff, all this information. We got guys that got cut. We got rookies that made the team. We got people that we didn't think should have made the team that made the team, and some guys that we thought it should have stayed. They're gone.
And that's what the rant's about. Yep.
Yep. Oh, well, we don't want to. Tomas got his rant. The rant is back. It's a
Yes, sir.
Tomas rant.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be in the second hour.
Second
We
hour.
also got John Hendricks coming in like he does almost every week.
There you go.
I say almost because I don't think he missed any last week. Every once in a while I get busy. I don't get time, and our schedules don't match up. But for the most part, he's supposed to be here every week.
Yep.
So listen, we got an action-packed show. Let's go ahead and get this thing started.
All right.
So we can start talking football. It's the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers.
The Yuccaneers.
10.5 points. The Saints are favorites.
I don't know.
Can you believe that? That's right. It's Wall to Wall Saints football. It's the BS and Beer podcast crew. Listen, let's close up the preseason.
All right.
One of the things I thought was most impressive, unlike any year or years in the past, Tomas, Heath, is the Saints look to have depth that they haven't had since I could really remember. How many times have we sat there and, we're watching preseason and we watching the first, quarter, and it's like, okay, they either perform well, and we're sitting there trying to analyze it, figure out what we're going to talk about. But then the second half comes in, and like for diehard Saints followers, we're sitting there with our hands on our, on our cheeks, and like, geez, it's just hard to watch. Now this year, I'm not saying it was super exciting, but we dominated. Let's see, where's this statistic I thought? In the second half of the preseason, we outscored opponents 61-10.
Wow.
61-10. Fourth quarter, 46-0. Now,
Nice.
okay, maybe we weren't as productive offensively because sometimes you have a lot of backups. You have guys that aren't going to make the team. But man, when those second tier guys came in, like Devereaux Lawrence, let's say, am I pronouncing that right? He got traded, but this was a guy who was an undrafted free agent last year. The Saints developed him and turned an undrafted free agent into a 7th round draft pick.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the point is that we, to me, unlike any years in the past, we're going to have guys that I would want to see as a starter, like Robertson. He's going to be a backup this year.
Yeah.
I mean, what a heck of a backup you're going to have at linebacker. That's quality.
Maybe. I don't know
depth.
if he's backing up. But
Well, okay. So from
that's for another part of the
Hold on.
discussion.
unofficial depth chart that I have here says
That's
he's
unofficial.
a backup. It's
Yeah.
unofficial. Tomas has some inside information he's going to share with us.
From an unsolicited, unknown, unverified source.
That's right. All right.
Oh, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
then what you got for
Well,
preseason?
we're wrapping up the preseason. Yeah, I would agree with you. We have depth. That's true. Our second and third string players obviously are better than everybody else's second and third strings, just from the statistics that you gave in the fourth quarter. We're playing the scrubs. They're playing the scrubs, but their scrubs can't do jack. So, okay, depth-wise, in most positions, we look good. In most positions.
Well, we got a couple
But
of.
there are a couple of positions that you're like, I don't know about that. But, on the defensive end, absolutely. Defensive back, we're loaded. Defensive line, loaded. Okay? So, that's easy. Linebacker, it's a question mark.
Right.
But I think that overall in the preseason, we showed that we have a good quality team. And like we had said before, we have 45 guys that we knew were going to make the team already.
Right.
It's just the last ones after that you're not sure of. And like I said to you before, I cut it down to like 63, and I couldn't get it down to 53. And some of those guys got cut and got picked up.
Heath, what position are you most worried about coming out of preseason here, real quick before we close out this segment?
Most worried about offensive line,
Offensive line? You worried about the offensive line?
tackle.
You mean you worried about the depth in case somebody gets hurt? You're
Yeah.
not worried about the starters, are you?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you didn't say. I just thought you meant as a group.
All right, when we come back, we're going to get that
All right.
answer. 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. We just getting this train rolling.
I still have energy after being up for 14 hours.
Welcome back. It's the BS and Beer podcast crew. Dave Romero, Heath Elson, Tomas, Mauricio. 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Pretty soon here we're going to have actually Tyler's going to come in with news and weather just in a moment. So y'all stand by for
In front
that.
of the green screen.
Are you ready? Are you ready for news and weather? All right. Yeah, we'll get you set up. We got a little bit more coming there for Tyler. All right. So we need to talk about. Listen, the Saints cut down like they do every year, and every NFL team does, from 90 players to the 50.
I still think it's the wrong thing to do it, but yeah.
Man
that's what they did.
roster.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the guys who made the team, didn't make the team, the guys that we thought. And we got to start off with like the huge acquisition from last week, which is quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, guy played at Minnesota. He was actually, I think he was a first-round draft pick. It was towards the end of the first round that he got
32nd
picked.
pick,
Was it 32nd?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And you know, he played solid ball. Now, one of the things I keep hearing pundits say, and before I did my research when it first happened, and I'm hearing all this news and reading everything, it's like, oh, he's a Pro Bowler. And well, I mean, he was a Pro Bowler. Does anybody? I don't have the actual numbers, but it was like 12 touchdowns or 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
I think it was like 14 and 9.
14 and 9.
I think so.
So we right off the bat, let's throw that out. I don't want to hear anybody talking about he's a Pro Bowler. Yeah, he made because the same year somebody else pointed out Drew Brees threw for like 36 touchdowns, and I'm just numbers off the top of my head, and 8 interceptions and 3,700 yards. Oh no, it was actually 4,800 yards, or maybe close to 5,000 yards, and didn't make the Pro Bowl. So we're not going to use that as any type of gauge to whether or not Teddy Bridgewater is a great quarterback or not. Having said that, there's a lot of things that the guy does. I mean, I think some folks look at him and think he's a running quarterback. He's really not.
No.
He's known for his accuracy. He's known for being an intelligent guy, making the smart play, making good decisions. Man, I mean, that sounds like somebody who's already playing quarterback for the Saints. So the question is, he's on a 1-year contract. We traded a third-round draft pick for a guy that could walk away at the end of the season. I have to believe that somewhere, at least, there was a conversation that said, hey, is there a way that we can get something done? So now the whole dynamics of it, Drew Brees, generally he's under a 2-year contract this year and next year. So 18 and 19, Drew Brees is under contract. Is Drew Brees going to stick around, after next year? Could he walk away? Could he hand, I don't want to say he's handing it over, but the Saints hand it over. Or could there be a way that you convince Bridgewater to stick around for 2 years? Now, keep in mind, he hasn't played for 2 years.
Right.
So for 4 years, this guy's not going to play much football at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the dilemma, isn't it? You would have to think, well, I mean, I say that, God, giving up a third-round draft pick, I would like to think that they had some discussions and had kind of an idea of that they could keep him around, and not basically just be a 1-year rental. Now, at the same, if the Saints really think they have a shot this year and they know they need somebody back there that if Brees were to go down for some amount of time, they need to win more games than they're going to possibly win with either Hill or Savage at quarterback, they might have felt that is worth a third round, whether they're able to retain him or not.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, at this point, with Drew, I mean, maybe it's going to depend on what happens, Well,
because there's some rumors, Tomas, that Drew Brees is behind the scenes said, hey, the Saints win a Super Bowl, he might ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's going to but he's going to grab the records this year. Most likely. I mean, he's going to have, so then, I guess that's what I meant by it depends on what happens, whether they would go out on top with a Super Bowl or something like that,
Well, I'm going to put out there that I don't think it's necessarily contingent on what Brees does. I think you had several options here. I think, number one, what Heath already hit upon, the first option is, look, we're just going to put up a 3, and we got this guy, we rent him for a year. Oh, if worst case scenario happens, we win more than we lose if we got Bridgewater playing.
Yeah.
Okay. And if he walks at the end of the season, so be it. Third round, we might get a compensation,
compensatory
pick. So you never know. It might just even be a wash.
Just let me throw out there for those who don't really understand. Compensatory picks at the end of the third round is pretty much the highest pick you can get.
Right.
What happens is it's a formula that I don't think the public really has. I mean, even sports writers, and you talk to people, and they don't exactly know why. How it works, I should say. but you basically get rewarded if you lose more players than you gain. So it's not just about losing Teddy Bridgewater, but there is an overall assumption, if you look at the Saints roster, that they won't be losing a lot of free agents because most of the guys on the team are under contract. But if you lose Teddy Bridgewater, it's going to be a huge contract, and more than likely it would be a third-round compensatory pick. So I just want to clarify.
Or fourth at the worst.
Right. But I just want to clarify, because he's a quarterback, he's going to make a lot of money, and that is generally what the pick is based off of.
Right.
So I just want to clarify for those who may not understand that the compensatory pick and how it comes about. But please continue what you were saying.
I think that's one possibility. Second possibility, that they have had a discussion. And they've said, look, Teddy, you have a chance to come in here. You get to work with Sean Payton. You get to work with Drew Brees. He's on for 2 more years. So we could get you an extension. What if we said we'll sign you for a 2-year extension, somewhere between 15 and 18 mil, so that puts you somewhere between 7 and 9 a year, to sit on a bench. And then, at the end of that time, Drew leaves or Drew's finished at that contract, then we'll negotiate with you a new contract based on where everything is at that point. So I think that's another possibility. Now, for that one to happen, of course, a couple of things. They'd have to have already had a discussion where they kind of felt it out. And the second thing is they got to sell Teddy Bridgewater on the city of New Orleans. They have to sell him on sitting behind Drew and learning. And if you listen to his interview, he seemed like a very positive kid who was like, hey, I don't mind waiting. I'm good. So I'm thinking they already sort of had a discussion. They may not have talked numbers, but I would think that that's where you would go. Somewhere in that, $15 to $18 million 2-year extension.
You see,
and then go forward from there.
I can see that, and I guess in my trying to figure out what could possibly happen in what scenario, if, let's say at the end of the season, Bridgewater looks around and says, man, look at this talented roster, depending on how the Saints win a Super Bowl to get to the NFC Championship game, and then he realizes, listen, I'm going to sit behind Drew Brees for 1 more year, and the Saints could come up to him with one of those contracts that has become all too familiar. Listen, it will give you $15 million over 2 years, but the first year it's going to be 5, and the rest of it will be in year 2, so that they can fit both Brees and Bridgewater under contract. So I can see it happening.
So that's another possibility. Then the third possibility is they franchise tag him.
See, I just don't see that one, because that would just be huge money, and it's all locked in that 1 year.
I'm just giving you all the possibilities.
Yeah.
They could franchise tag him. Yes, it's a big chunk of change. But at the same time, they could tag him and then work out an agreement after the tag to level everything out. And then, of course, like I said, the worst one, of course, is that he just walks. Well, But I think that there are possibilities. For me, I think the best possibility for Bridgewater, it's Saints obviously as well, but for Bridgewater, you're with a team that's loaded with talent. You have a bunch of young guys on the defense. They're not going anywhere in a couple of years. They'll still all be here. You have young guys on the offense. They're all still going to be here. It gives them an additional year, knock on wood, nothing happens to Brees this year, to continue to rehab. Because you never have enough rehab from a serious injury like the one he had. So continue to rehab, a year to learn the system. I think extension works for him because what other team can he go to that's going to be loaded with the talent that we have and that has the coach that has the offensive know-how to adapt and make Bridgewater the best quarterback he can be?
Well, let's do a little experiment here, because it's something that I already thought about. I mean, we just go down the line, and you got to think about it next year.
Yeah.
This contract in Atlanta Falcons.
No, they're tied up for years.
Eagles, no.
Nope.
Steelers, no. I mean,
Well.
there's a possibility but let's say
they picked again. Here's a beautiful example. They picked up their new quarterback, their rookie quarterback, in what round?
I don't remember.
3rd round.
Okay, Colts. There's a team that could be looking for a quarterback. Bengals, I would say no.
I'd say
Browns.
yes.
Browns, absolutely not. So you think the Bengals might be
Possibly.
looking for a quarterback?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Titans.
Because Bad Andy won't be around.
I mean, what do you mean he won't be around?
He's at the end of his contract.
Okay. So then there's a possibility. And again,
Possibly,
I'm trying to go through this real quick.
Because you have to think about who's got money. Bengals have money.
Okay, but here's the other thing. Bad Andy is just about, he's your average quarterback.
Yeah.
Whoever he goes to, I mean, whoever if the Bengals don't sign him,
Yeah, he'll
then
be
he's
a free
going to
agent.
another team.
Yeah, but then
and
they
then
free up money.
that team won't need a quarterback. You
Yeah.
follow what I'm saying? One way or
Yes.
another, Bad Andy ain't going out of the league.
No, I
he's going to
understand.
still be in the league. So let's move on. Colts. There's a team that could be
Yeah.
looking for a quarterback. We said Titans. They're not going to be looking for a quarterback. Not that I'm enamored with their quarterback, but the point
No,
is
but
that
they're long
chances
term.
are
Yeah.
Dolphins. That's
Yes,
questionable
that's
with
a possibility.
Tannehill.
They have money.
49ers, no.
No.
Vikings, no.
No.
Texans, no.
No.
Patriots, good, you know,
Maybe, but
but they're kind of in the same situation as us. They're either getting rid of their quarterback or he's going to be sitting behind an all-world quarterback.
Right.
So it's the same situation.
Right.
So now Buccaneers, you know, I wouldn't put it past them that they would at some point be done with the experiment. But I'm just going to say it. Generally speaking, I'd say they have a quarterback in Winston,
yeah.
right? So Jaguars, no. Giants.
Yeah.
Giants. They didn't draft a quarterback. They still went with
running back.
Yeah.
possibility.
Say my name.
Chiefs, no. Chargers,
No.
probably not. And the only reason I would say probably not is because you're just talking about age. You know, will
Yeah,
Rivers
Rivers
stick
has a
around
few
for
more years, yeah.
Okay, Seahawks, no. Broncos, potentially a team that needs a quarterback. You know, I mean, I'm saying who doesn't have an established quarterback getting paid, and they're a team that could. Redskins, no, they just signed their quarterback. Cardinals drafted their quarterback. Cowboys have a quarterback. The Scampers have something that resembles a quarterback that they pay a lot of money and they won't
they won't
replace.
be looking for him. No.
The Bears have a new guy. The Packers are set. The Jets are set. The Lions are set. The Rams are set. The Raiders are set. My point is, I tried to blow through this, and I didn't really want to turn this into let's debate every one of them. There's only a handful of teams.
Yeah,
and
three
you
or
also-
four maybe. That
You have to also keep in mind that a couple of these teams are going to be drafting in the top 5, and there's going to be one or two quarterbacks that those teams will pick. And unless Bridgewater wants to go there and do the same thing that happened with the Jets, which is, hey, come in and be our bridge quarterback, and when the rookie's ready, then we'll put him in. He's still in a situation where he's never going to be the guy.
Right.
He's just a stopgap. So I would argue that there is a chance that the Saints would offer him the best opportunity for a long-term contract / on a winning team and a winning organization that he could say, man, this is my home.
Yeah.
And this isn't my thought, but something that many people pointed out. In 2 years, he's 25. He'll be the same age that Drew Brees was when
He
he
started.
came to the Saints.
Yeah.
So, you still got a decade of football to play. So, to me, I do think that there is something to be said that if the man sits back and says, if the Saints pay him well enough.
It all depends on his agent at this point. That's what I would tell you. Because I really believe, just as you said, really the only team of all of those, I disagree with you on Denver, but Miami would probably be the one team that has money and they're not happy with what they've got right now. And okay. But if you can sell him on the extension for 2 years and then you're the man, but you got to deal with their agents. Because, these agents...
Well, the
he's
agents
liable to
might.
come in and
Yeah,
say,
the agents say,
"You know
"Don't take
what?
that 5, take the 15, and go play for this terrible team." Yeah.
Exactly.
And the thing is, we as fans of the game, we take way too much into this hometown discount. I mean, these players, you're talking about millions of dollars. I would pick up, sell my
But it
house, and
depends
move
now.
for $100
But-
grand. You know what I'm saying?
But
So-
wait now, but it depends because a lot of the players are starting to come to the realization that it's about championships as well.
No, I disagree with you.
It's the
yeah.
agents
I mean,
that
all
push
things
them the wrong way.
All things being equal, yes, they might play for $500,000 less to be on a championship team. But if you're talking about $12 million versus $7 million,
then you could say that we just if that's what you truly believe, then we've only rented him for a year because he'll walk after this.
Well,
year.
and that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but so assuming Drew Brees doesn't get hurt this year, this would be a third year that Teddy Bridgewater sat around and hasn't played, hasn't put anything on film that for anybody to look at. Who's going to come along looking to sign Teddy Bridgewater to a big money starter type contract?
again,
That's true. That's a good
again,
point.
you look around the league and you see examples of that. How much did they just pay for the guy who's in Minnesota? Cousins.
Well,
How
yeah,
much
but
did they
he's,
pay for him?
he
he's been
played-
playing and all.
And he's-
Teddy Bridgewater hasn't done anything, and it'll be 3 years by the time this year's over.
All right. Well, we'll see where it goes. But based on what you guys are saying, if Teddy Bridgewater finishes this year, Drew does nothing he plays every game, then I see at the end of this year that his agent and he will get together and say, who's willing to pay us $20 million a year, and somebody will pay him $20 million a year, and he'll walk.
I'd be.
Yeah, you see,
That's a lot of money to give somebody that hasn't done anything.
That's the thing is, but if they offer him 20, he is not going to sit around and say.
no,
'cause here's the other thing.
no. Somebody
You
offers
pay
him 20.
They
no.
offering you an opportunity to be the franchise. You know, but I really do. I'd have to say I'd be hard pressed to see a team, step up with that kind of money. Now maybe it's incentives. Maybe they say, hey, we'll give you $7 million a year guaranteed. But if you hit this incentive and this incentive and this incentive,
Yeah.
then you can get.
You mean it's sort of
$18 million?
like the fellows at Philadelphia?
I don't know.
He's playing for $500,000 this game.
He's not Foles.
Yes, he's playing for $500,000. Is what his incentive is for this game. He
For
wins
this
the
game.
game.
All right.
$500,000 per.
Hey,
every
it's
game he plays.
97.7 Sports Talk Radio and the BS and Beer podcast crew. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I'm a beast, Your Honor.
There you go, 97.7. He's a beast, Your Honor. Sports Talk Radio and the BS and Beer podcast. Dave Romero, Heath Elson, Tomas Mauricio, Tyler Kissner working the board. We got a whole staff here trying to bring you the best in Saints information. You don't have to go find it because we find it for you. We're the little guys fighting for the little guys. That's what we do. Like Morris Bart, we fight for the little guy. All right. So we.
I'm going to be nice because you don't like when I,
What? I don't like what? When you get disruptive?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, listen, before we get into it, we have to pimp this Pick'em League again. Listen, go to yahoo.com and do the Pick'em. There's also an app if you I just don't want to confuse the people, but you can get an app, and we just found that out before the show started, and we were downloading the app. But anyway, you can go to either download the app, and it's a fantasy football, for Yahoo Fantasy Football. The league number is 37909, and the password is BS and beer, and you can join. You can compete against us, man. We have fun. Last year we had close to 80 people in the Pick'em League, and I killed it. I came in like 63rd. I don't want to hurt nobody's feeling. I feel like they're my guest. I just wanted to make them feel good about themselves. I lured them into a false sense of security, so this year I could whoop them.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some whooping on some people this year. Don't forget, later on, at the end of the show, the bottom of the second hour, we're going to have our My Bookie picks of the week, so you don't want to forget about that, because if you need to pay your mortgage or something, you don't want to miss it. You just go ahead and put your money down, make some extra money.
What's that phrase you like to use?
Lead pipe lock of the week.
There you go.
You know what's sad? For those you don't know, I thought I invented something. I was talking about the lead pipe lock of the week, and
Well, you
found out
did.
that, what?
Even though it already kind of existed, you invented it being the opposite of whatever it is you
Oh,
pick.
right,
'cause
right.
I don't
so
think
the lead
one
pipe
is
lock
ever
means
going.
you're automatically going to lose.
Yeah.
You're automatically going to lose. All right, so I tell you what, we had a couple of hotline calls, and I think it would be in our best interest to get to one of those calls. So
It
let's
would
take one of
behoove
them.
you to do so.
Behoove. Thank you very much for the call. Matter of fact, it's something that I think the thing that stood out to me the most, looking at the New Orleans Saints unofficial depth chart, was the linebackers. So they have listed as the starting middle linebacker Manti Te'o, the Sam A.J. Klein, and the Will Demario Davis. Confusing because Demario Davis had
Career year.
Yeah, career year at middle linebacker. We go and get him, and then they move him to Will.
Yeah.
Okay, I will be the first to say I'm not trying to second guess the Saints coaching staff. I think they know what they're doing. I just don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, well, he knows I agree with him. I've been beating this drum for a while now, basically since training camp started, because they've had Davis literally at will since the first day of practice, I think.
Yep.
And so, again, who am I to sit here and tell the Saints who should be starting at what linebacker position and all, but I don't understand it either. I really don't.
Well, here's what I would say. Because go ahead.
Especially if Te'o is a starter in the middle.
Well, I mean, Te'o, he made some plays. He played well in the run game last year, so it's not that I'm like, oh, my God, why do they have this guy in there? Now, keep in mind, too, am I wrong that Te'o last year came off of an injury? So
Yes.
he, that was his
No,
recovery
he did.
year.
He played well. I'm not picking on Te'o. But what I'm saying is when you bring in Demario Davis, who had a career year at middle linebacker for the Jets last year, when you have Anzalone back, who to me is really, to me, he's a will.
No, I agree with that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
but I don't know. I've kind of said all of this already for multiple shows that I don't get it. Now, of course, we don't know if this is real or not.
Well, because it is the unofficial.
Right, it's the
depth chart.
unofficial. But anyway, go ahead, Tomas.
No, I was just going to say, yes, he had a spectacular year last year, but it was the only one that he had. The other years, Davis didn't really light anybody on fire. So that's the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say is we don't play the same defense that the Jets played last year. All right, that's another thing. Number three, how many times are we going to really be in a 4-3 where you're going to have those three linebackers on the field at the same time?
That may be your
No,
best
but
point
even
right
with
there.
two linebackers on the field, I wouldn't expect him to move from the will. That's one of the two that stays. He's still going to be out there.
Well,
more than
I
likely.
would say this though,
But maybe not,
If
see?
you're playing a nickel, you playing that defense differently than you would a base 4-3. So I could see something where Teo is coming out. I would almost guarantee you that Anzalone is going to be your second,
Yes.
third down linebacker.
Yeah.
But it's still strange that he's going to be in the middle. But again, when you're dealing with a nickel defense, the responsibilities aren't the same in nickel with two linebackers on the field as they are in a base defense when you play in a 4-3.
Again, I'll go back and say our defense is not going to be the same that it was last year because, again, we don't need Vaccaro to come up and play in the box because we have different personnel at linebacker. Even though we might not agree the position according to the unofficial depth chart where they might be, we still have overall better linebacker play across the board so that we don't need to have Vaccaro as a third safety really being a backup linebacker, a slash linebacker,
Right.
at the position. So we can play a different kind of defense when we have three safeties. The three safeties will be a completely different setup than a man up in the box with two in the back. So I'm just saying, I'm going to be interested to see because we didn't see any of these things really in the preseason because they kept it pretty vanilla.
Right.
So let's see during this first game exactly what some of these defensive formations are, and that list might be completely wrong. We might not see those guys in the 4-3 base.
And here's the thing. Now, listen, we didn't just get this unofficial depth chart out of the air. It's running around all the media circles.
Yeah.
So it says unofficial, but it came from the Saints.
But you know how Sean Payton
No,
is.
I agree. It's not like it's like
know,
go
you
up and
could've
ask him
put
who's
on-
injured.
Yeah,
So, who's your start middle linebacker? Well. So
Vaccaro.
listen, we might
we
very
signed him
well
back up, yeah.
we might very well spend a whole segment talking about linebackers and find out come game day that everything is going to be right back where we kind of suspected it to be. But listen, I can see that they think that on first down, run downs, run situations, base defense, that Teau's the best middle linebacker and best against the run, and that Davis can play the weak side. Then comes second down when it's 2nd and 7, here comes Anzalone. And so and you might want to
situational
exactly,
defense.
and you might want to think about like the injury history with Anzalone. Maybe the Saints are like, look, we don't really need to have him in there pounding it, playing run defense. I'm just it's speculation because again, it doesn't make sense to me, so I'm trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
But Anzalone needs to be on the field. I mean, did you see in the 4th preseason game that interception he had?
Yeah.
I mean, that's athleticism that
Yeah.
I mean, Davis is a pretty good athlete, but I don't see him moving like Anzalone can move.
There were several plays where Anzalone came across from the middle of the field and cut off on an angle the people that were coming from the backfield. So that wasn't just that one game interception. He's definitely the athlete at the
no
linebacker
doubt. I
position.
just pointed that out how athletic that was. But yeah, no, he's to me from what I've seen, he's the best athlete in the linebacking corps.
Yeah, he is.
Now he's had injury issues, and if the Saints might think that it's best if he just becomes a nickel linebacker, he plays second, third down, and situational football. Because listen, although Manti Te'o did look a little light, I think he lost some weight, but he's not on the level of any of those other guys, not even Klein, in my opinion, in pass defense. Klein has his issues, but he's still a good athlete, still moves well in space. He's a fast guy, he's kind of a quick twitch guy, which is kind of his problem. He's not one of those thick ankle guys that plays the run well.
Well, both of those guys you just mentioned were hurt last year, and they're still recovering, I think. Teo, last year, he wasn't 100%. I think he's 100% now. Klein may not still be 100%.
Hey, 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. We about to hit hour number 2. Don't go anywhere. We have all kinds of exciting Saints news to talk about. It's the season opener. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 97.7.